Hello, good evening, good morning, good day. Here in Finland is 7 p.m. Central Europe is 6 p.m. already. It's evening. But in the US and Canada, they are still in the afternoon and morning periods. Thanks for joining us today. It's it's a powerful session. Refining your thoughts. Refining your thoughts. It's a powerful session. So I will encourage you all to invite someone, share in different groups, in different platforms, so that someone going through managing thoughts and all those things, refining thought pattern, may be blessed. It's an aspect of sharing love. It's an aspect of helping, empowerment, because if we don't manage our thoughts, is the root cause of distress, is the root cause of conflict, is the root cause of strongholds, is the root cause of other problems that may arise, that if not managed fast, it may result to different alarming situations, more drastic than our imagination. So it's very important for us to manage our thoughts, to refine our thoughts. And today we have incredible guests, Dr. Robert and Dr. Francis and Dr. Calypso. Dr. Robert and Dr. Calypso will be live with us soon. And I just encourage you to share this broadcast, share it in different platforms. You are saving a soul. Many people are not alive today, have committed suicide. Why? Because they were not able to refine their thoughts. They were not able to manage their thought patterns. They were not able to manage the things they congest in their mind. What does the Bible say? I love this particular verse in the Bible, Proverbs 4:23. It's one of my favorite verses, and it's the core value of Healing Storehouse. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. How do you refine your thoughts? What role does the mind impact your actions, your behavior? A lot is in this. It's the chapter, I guess, is the sixth chapter of my book, Healing Storehouse, Unlocking Soul Gates. But I have two guest speakers here to go deeper, in depth into it in different dimensions, because we know two people may have the same scenario, but the interpretation may be different. Those who have already purchased my book, of course, they have examined the context in which I wrote about refining your thoughts. But we have two powerful guest speakers today who will be giving us deeper clarity on certain things about our thought patterns. It's very, very important. Many are in the dark today, not because they love to be in that position. They love to be in that place of darkness. But it's because at the initial state, they have not understood how to how to manage their thoughts, how to interpret it, how to take away some trash from their mind, how to refine their mind. And if you're able to manage your thoughts, you're able to eliminate a lot of stress, a lot of challenges in life comes because of the way we interpret messages in our mind. The way we interpret those things impact us positively and negatively, because it affects our emotions, and our emotions impact our behavior, and our behaviors can become a habit. So Stay tuned, invite someone. Please share this broadcast. It will be very educational. It will be, because I know the people who are coming on board. I will just quickly invite Dr. Francis, Dr. Robert, and Dr. Caliph. Stay on board. Wow. Thanks once more, Dr. Robert, and thanks, Dr. Caliph, for this awesome program. I know Saturday is very special for us with families, but you taking that space of your family, I really respect, and I will acknowledge that I'm grateful, because this is just the work of humanity. It's just to empower people out there, because out of this sphere of influence, if people want to assess you, you are a consultant, Dr. Caliph, and Dr. Robert is a coach and also a researcher. So people will not assess you free of charge. But you doing this is an act of humanity, and I really do appreciate. I will just give the floor to Dr. Robert just to introduce himself. Then Dr. Khalif can also introduce himself. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you very much, Coach Marie. I am Dr. Robert Kagbo. My background is in synthetic organic chemistry, but I'm doing drug discovery, and presently I am leading a team of scientists that are in phase 2 clinical trials for major depressive disorder. So I work for the USONA Institute, but everything that I will be speaking about today is on my own behalf and has nothing to do with USONA Institute. So I just want to make that clear upfront.
Mhm.
I have lead various programs within the drug discovery world and in various therapeutic areas, cancer, immunologies, and various other disease process that even the big pharmaceutical companies sometimes don't address. And so, but for today, I've also been involved in helping managers and helping supervisors, to help them overcome the interpersonal problems they might be having at their workplace. So I engage with those type of people and on an individual basis as well, to really passed on the vast amount of experience and interactions in leading various groups. And that has been a very rewarding aspect of what I have been doing and what I enjoy doing in my spare time.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Robert. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. Now, I just want to give the floor to Dr. Khalifs to briefly introduce himself. He forgot something, Dr. Robert. He's an author. He has
Yeah,
books. I will share the link. And Dr. Khalifs have about 4 books he has
yeah,
written.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I will
yeah.
share the link soon so people can access those links in Amazon and order fast, because
Hmm.
they are very instrumental and powerful books. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Coach Mary. It's such a delight to be here again on this platform. And I really want to start by commending you for the work you're doing. Given the fact that I mean, with your family and the demands that the necessities of life put on you, in spite all this, you are still able to continue with this platform that is a blessing to many people. And so I really want to start by commending you for the work you're doing. This is great. It will live long, way past your age. So keep on doing the work. Um, about me, I am, like you said, I'm Calypso. I have a doctorate in epidemiology, so understanding disease trends. I work for the Ministry of Disease Trends and Causality, anyway. But I work for the Ministry of Health, where most of the work I do is surveillance work, and I'm involved with multiple projects. Of course, as an epidemiologist, you get called into um, um, COVID-19 work. So that's an area that I'm embedded in. But just to follow the line of my senior brother who spoke already, today I'm here in my capacity as Calypso, and and related to that, I am also an author. I've authored a couple of books. I have a few that are coming up, on choices, simple steps to making godly decision, focus, the power of a steadfast mind, vision, the power to live beyond your sight, and they are all on Amazon. And I have one coming up on identity. There's one that is already actually on Amazon. Will be on in 2 weeks. On That's to the youth especially, simple mistakes young people make. So all of this has to do with, really, thankfully, has to do with the subject we are discussing on today, refining
Wow.
the mind, refining our thoughts. So and today, hopefully, I'll be throwing some wisdom in that capacity. And this is all extracurricular activity where I'm a consultant at. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Calypso. Thank you so much. Myself, I can testify of those books. They are really powerful, empowering. So I'll share the links of those books. I shared it before where I introduced the flyers. I'll still share today so that people can access directly with no challenge. But today, let's dive into what we are here for, refining your thoughts. So I'll give the floor to Dr. Robert. I just want that free flow, free flow, and Dr. Calypso also can give his own. Then Dr. Calypso give his own viewpoint. I wrote personally on refining your thought because this program I'm engaging now on Healing Storehouse is more of the blueprints of Healing Storehouse unlocking soul gates, and the goal is I already poured out what I was empowered by the Holy Spirit and my personal
Testimony.
testimonies and those from others, but I want people with different views to come on
Mm,
with that because it's a learning process. Myself, I'm also still learning,
mm,
and this is an opportunity. It's a platform where we empower ourselves, we learn new things in order to improve life and navigate better. So that's why we are now coming in a panel session to really go deeper into it and navigate better. So over to you, Dr. Robert. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Marie, and very impressive, background of Dr. Calypso, and also the tremendous opportunity that you've given a lot of people. Each time you bring us together to speak, it's just a tremendous opportunity for people really to pick up years and years of experience that we've gained,
Mhm,
and it's really amazing. To go to the topic that we have for today. Refining your thoughts, a very, very powerful title. So
mhm,
where I want to start off from is, when you use the word refine, it means you have something you want to change. So
mhm,
except we understand what you really want to change, you are
mhm.
not going to change anything. And
Yeah.
so we start first, what are the thoughts? What are the thoughts that we want to change? So
Mhm,
thoughts can be looked at from a very diverse perspective. But
yeah.
one key perspective that we are all, familiar with, but generally we don't see it that way. Thoughts arise from childhood, from the time we were born. We started gathering information. We started receiving information, and we started perceiving information. So we receive information from our parents. We receive guidance from our ministers. We receive guidance from a clergyman. So everything around us as we continue to grow um, constantly accumulate thoughts pattern. They are stored in our brain because our brains are very, very powerful. If you even as an adult, you can recall things that we are told to you from childhood. Some of those things can be helpful. Some of those can be destructive, and we constantly refine these thoughts. We go to school, we get education, we refine our thoughts in that in one direction or the other. We look at things that we like to do, or careers that we wanna pursue, and then we go in that path. Someone can be a minister or pastor, and they look at the type of denomination they want to be. So they go in that direction. So all of these are thoughts and stories that we have built in our lives. So that makes it very unique. That means every one of us is special and unique. And so um, seeing it that way will begin to unravel the challenges that are embedded in the patterns that we all have accumulated.
Mm,
And it's just not what I believe, not what I think, but just what it is. And that is who you are now, is as a result of all of the interactions you've had in life. So
mm.
I will expand on how do we refine. So now it's just the definition. What do we want to refine? So
Awesome.
I'll leave the floor to Dr. Khalif.
Uh, Thank you very much. Amazing perspective there about what our thoughts are and how we get to that place of having thoughts that need to be refined. What I'd like to go back to the scripture that Coach Murray talked about originally. Uh, guard your heart with all diligence in Proverbs 4. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. And really, in a way to substantiate what Dr. Robert has already talked about, is that if you think of thoughts, thoughts are emissions that come out of a place. Think of it as a gun that emits bullets. The thoughts are the bullets. The mind is that structure that contains our thoughts. And again, just to highlight what Dr. Robert has already talked about, if our mind, you see, the thoughts that are emitted from our minds are dependent on that are emitted from us are dependent on the kind of mind that we have. The kind of gun or the vessel called the mind that we have. The mind is simply a processor of our intellect, our reasoning, our thoughts, and everything. And um and um you see, I like a good analogy to the mind is like a garden. So if a garden is well kept, well catered for, when if weeds are coming up and the garden owner plucks out the weed, then then the whatever has been planted in that garden will grow and blossom, and it will come out in due season bringing fruits. But if, as Dr. Robert already talked of, the areas that feed into our mind that causes these thoughts to start propelling themselves, to start coming forth, if they are not well catered for, um, if the mind is not well catered for, then it will bring forth thoughts that will lead to a life that is not desirable. The scripture again says, out guard your hearts with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. So our lives are a reflections of the mind that we have, and the mind emanates the thoughts that we present to ourselves, or we present to other people. I just thought to bring that analogy in. Sometimes when I talk at when I'm called to talk at conferences, I'll give the analogy of a computer. If you think of a computer, the computer has a hard drive, which has a processor. The main board of the computer has a processor. Now, what you see displayed on the screen is an expression of what is built on the processor. And Dr. Robert talked about our environment that affects, that causes us to think the way we think, the experiences we have had from childhood, the teachers who teach us every day and who have taught us, the spouses we live with, who continually feed information into us, and like he said, the clergy we listen to. So it's a component of our environment that we have to be mindful of, and we'll be delving into that more as we go on. So I would like to throw it back to Marie or Dr. Robert to delve to the next stage.
Coach Marie, have any comments? You're on mute. You might be on mute.
Sorry, I say I totally agree with both of you, and I just want you guys to flow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I
Okay.
will just
So
be popping in where if necessary, but flow.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
yes, there's a really very powerful analogy about the computer hard drive, wherein people see screen and they don't really focus a lot of the time on the computer hard drive itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like an iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
People, you just see the top, and without realizing there's so much of information at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so this is the major problem that we face as a as a human, because what we see, it's incredibly little,
Mm-hmm.
and we just perceive that that is enough to make
Mm-hmm.
all the decisions in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we are being conditioned to go that
Mm-hmm.
way. We've been conditioned to look at the TV and the news and what we received and to be the ultimate truth. We've been conditioned to look at research and said, okay, this is published and it has to be truth.
Mm-hmm.
We've looked at things in our own environment
Mm-hmm.
and said, yes, this got to be true because someone have given an evidence that it is true. And so we come up with all of these evidences and say, yes, these are truths that we live by. These are morals that we stand by.
Mm-hmm. That's
But if we go back and step back and realize what were those parameters that we were using to do those measurements, we realize a lot of the time they are not accurate.
hmm.
Have you? Why do we see chaos in the world today? It's because of that. Because when you look at individual decisions, when you look at national decisions, when you look at global decisions, they most often are not 100% correct.
Hmm.
There's so much mishap,
That's
and
true.
not acknowledging that, it's one of the greatest sources of pain and suffering.
That's true.
Is one of the sources of frustration, because we raise our expectation that yes, we know all the facts and should be going this direction, only to realize that we are completely not going in the correct direction. So what that leads to frustration, and except one steps back and begin to look at it from that perspective, uh, trying to refine the thoughts is just going to be an idle exercise, because
Yeah.
we don't have the capacity to refine it. We don't have the capacity to refine something that we have no idea about.
That's true.
So, except we understand the problem as an individual, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing you're going to refine. All you've
That's
been
true.
going is going from one problem to the other,
Mm-hmm.
just going from one solution and trial and error. And you
Yeah.
see someone do something, oh, I'm going to do this. You see
Mm-hmm.
the other person do it, oh, I'm going to do that. And we're just going to be like, moving from one thing to the other
Mm-hmm.
without having a very clear
Mm-hmm.
direction
Hmm.
to really what we want to refine.
Ah,
So I'll leave it to Dr. Calypso
that
to add
that
to
is that is a very good point, Dr. Robert. It's amazing you talked about if we don't know, we cannot we cannot initiate change if we don't know. And I'm happy Coach Marie talked about, started with the scriptures, because then it gives us a platform to build on. And somewhere in the Bible, it talks about, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. It doesn't say you shall hear the truth, because there are many people hearing the truth. It doesn't say somebody will speak the truth, then you get set free. It says you shall know. Because if you don't know, and I'm just adding, just substantiating the point you made, if you don't know, it is impossible to change if you don't know that you need to change. If you don't know that you are in a problem, if you don't acknowledge the fact that, look, this thing is not working, my thought pattern is not working, there needs to be a refinement. So I'd like to talk about, how do we, just throw one point or two about how do we know? How do we get to know? Because this platform is a platform that encourages people to change, to move from point A to point B for their betterment, especially when it comes to mental health. How do we know? We know by exposure. The number one approach to know is to expose yourself. Expose yourself to what you are not familiar with. You see, because it is Dr. Mike Murdoch who said, if you want to have something you've never had, you've got to do something you have never done. Someone else said, insanity, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. What these 2 points are saying is that there needs to be a gradation. We need to come to a point where we say, okay, I've been doing it this way all the time and it has not worked. How can I be better? And that again brings us to the point of the services you provide, coaching, where people have to come to the realization of the fact that, look, what I am doing is not working. How do I acquire better knowledge? How do I see some? Is it time to to talk to a coach? Is it time to talk to somebody who's an expert in this domain, who can give me a more balanced perspective? Because many times, you see, I said somewhere that the Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." It didn't say Satan's people perish for lack of knowledge. It talks about people who are called by God, people who are on the path to eternity. There's a perishing that comes as a result of the domain of our ignorance, I call it. We perish in the domain where we are ignorant. We fail in the domain of our ignorance. How do we acquire knowledge so that we will not be ignorant of these things? Seek for advice, seek for professional, talk to somebody, read books, um, get out of your comfort zone. And I think this is especially important for those of us. I mean, I'm an African immigrant. Those of us who have that cultural background where um, going to what we call in those days experts, seeking expert opinion on issues like mental health is pretty much a sealed taboo, you know. And so as we speak on, I really want to encourage people. Dr. Robert brought up a very important point. You cannot change if you don't know. To know, you have to expose yourself to something that is beyond the perimeters of your experience, beyond the perimeters of your knowledge, beyond the perimeters of all that you have been doing before. Thank you very much. And Dr. Robert, maybe you can carry on from there.
Oh, thank you. These are very powerful examples that you've given. Of course, the scriptures that um, have been quoted, these are scriptures that, if you look in the scientific literature very keenly, there is so much scientific evidences to back, um, those quotes. But I tend to bring more of the science
Yes.
and relate it in a way that people can see it and come to terms with the facts in their lives.
Mhm.
Um, After we acknowledge, you know, our thoughts pattern, the number, as Dr. Caliph was, indicating, the key aspect will be sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
If we are not sincere to ourselves, we got to get to that bottom line and look at yourself in the mirror. Say, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I am not doing well. I am doing things that I shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I am, you know, thinking, or my thought pattern are so weird. No one else knows about it. But I know in my mind, I don't wish good for other people. I don't even wish good for myself. And I don't even need to tell anyone. But I know I am doing that. To come to terms with that, do you wish good? Do you wish, other people that they succeed? Do you want other people to be better than you? You know, these are hard questions that will allow us to go back internally
Mm-hmm.
in our minds. Because if that is wrong, our internal, just like when you say the eye, if the eye, is blind,
Mm-hmm.
then everything else
Mm-hmm.
will be
It's darkness.
lost.
Mm-hmm.
So going that to get that fundamental truth to ourselves, in ourselves, recognize that, because once, if that one is missing, it's just like the GPS. Once we miss that, then every other thing externally that we are doing, trying to get this, trying to get that, we're going to be going in the wrong direction. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we get to that core? Again, sincerity. If you're someone who is a religious person, it is not all about what the pastor or minister really have told me. No, hold on to that first. Just wait. Go to your internal mind
Mm-hmm.
and search your own soul. Once you align with that, then you bring whatever that is coming externally. And the reason why that is so, so important, let's just look at this analogy. We were born as a child. We had no idea what the world looks like. We depended on nature to raise us up. As we are growing, we are depending on our parents to
Mm.
guide us, to direct us, and
That's
every
true.
other things. We had so much dependency. And so what happens when we are adult? We just cut off all of that and just pretend that never happened.
Mm.
And now it's all about what we think now, what we understand, on all the things, the past, we sometimes just put aside without going back and recognize. At the time when I had no idea I should be in existence, I came into existence.
Mm.
How do I think that I was made without a purpose? Impossible. But if I don't go back to when I used to trust and let go, allowed that internal GPS to lead me, it's very, very hard to change once those neural pathways in
Mm-hmm.
our brains are wired in certain ways. They are very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's nearly impossible. That's that when the thought pattern is so solidified. We've heard about neuroplasticity. Yes, we can change, but it's not an easy process.
No.
You can throw out many, many things thinking it's easy. It's just impossible. There's no way. Once you have developed a thought pattern, just think about anything. Let's just say you begin to eat bread every day, every day, every day. It become addictive.
Mm-hmm.
You begin to eat one particular food every day, it become addictive. And
Mm-hmm.
to change becomes nearly impossible. Why do we have prisons? Why do we have the military? Why do we have the cops? Why? Because once we are wired in certain ways, it becomes very, very difficult. Even though we see the consequences,
Mm-hmm.
that is not a deterrent, it's not enough. So again, going back to that truth in our lives. So as a child, we are dependent on that natural guidance, that internal dependent on that. And then once we become an adult, now we are wired to go in our own direction. And what's going to happen when we are older? We go back to the state as a child. Other people are going to be helping us. Other people are
Mhm.
going to be directing us.
Mhm.
It is that midpoint, that's where all the problems are. That is where all the problems are. And instead we see that way, we might be just over analyzing,
Mhm.
but and over analyzing just add more complexity to the problem.
Mhm.
So I will go into steps that we could take, things that we could can look at, frame of mind that we can, we can be in order to begin that
Mhm.
process. So why this is so important? Every time we talk, every time we write, every time we give this, we give a very narrow window of perspective. It's just too small
Mhm.
to cover everything.
Mhm.
And you, as an individual, you are special and unique. So, whatever
Mm.
we are explaining is the average, but
Mhm.
you are not an average person. You are someone who is
Beautiful.
unique and beautiful and powerful,
Wow.
but there's so much that is covering that power.
Yes. Yes.
There
Oh.
is so much goodness. There is so much intellect. There's so
Mhm.
much knowledge you have. Even though the external people, the external world may not be seeing that,
Mhm.
but they don't have to. But it's already there. How do you untap that? How do you open up and then let you begin to flourish? Even
Mm.
no matter how poor the situation might be.
Mhm.
Remember, when you came into the world, it wasn't your decision. When you came into the world, no one asked you whether you need to
You
come to
think.
the world or not. So why are we now thinking all of these that we have all of the solution in our mind? Can we just go back to that beginning and say, I did not ask myself to come into the world. There is a purpose for me. I how will succeed. It just makes no sense that you are not born to succeed. Absolutely makes no sense.
Hmm. Amazing. Amazing. And
Is
uh-huh. uh, uh, before Coach Mary speaks, I like the way you craft it. You make it personal and you bring it, and this is really important, so we don't end up talking high level and talking theories. And it is important to the listeners. It's important that um, that, like Dr. Roberts said, you are not a commodity. Your experiences don't define who you are. At best, they are a veil that wraps an ornament, that wraps think of it as a veil, some cloth, dark cloth that wraps around a golden ornament. And what we are talking about is, how do we break open that veil? How do we break past the experiences that seem to hinder us? The bad experiences we've had from our environments. And again, just to put perspective, I was just, as Dr. Robert was talking, I thought of it. I said, oh yes, there are two parts to this. There are the intrinsic components, what we call the things that are in us, that are inherent in us. Some people just grow with a weakness. They lack capacity to operate in a certain dimension, to see themselves positively. It's more difficult for them, I would say so. So those are the intrinsic factors. The extrinsic or environmental factors are those factors that surround us, as we've alluded to already. The people who have spoken negatively to us, and we took it to define who we are. The parents, the different abuse that people go through. And again, we're speaking to the listeners. So this, don't let it define you. I like the way Dr. Robert already engaged in this. You are way better than the experiences you go through. You are far more valuable than the things that come your way. In fact, you were made to be gold, to shine as the light in this world, a world of darkness. And before we delve into how you can refine the mind, it is important to establish this, that you are a vessel of honor. You are somebody whom the world is waiting for to manifest the light that is in you.
Wow, that was, I'm really soaked into it. Wow, that's, I really love the way both of you have approached it, because I always say if the foundation is not handled properly,
Mm,
then there won't be any fruitfulness. So the foundation is the core, like you both of you have analyzed,
mhm,
getting to the source.
mm.
If you have not gotten to the source to search your soul, and whatever you apply, you are not even believing in what you're applying,
That's true.
because your true identity is the truth.
Mhm.
Your true identity is who you are.
Yeah.
Your true identity will define and will channel you into those things that people have labeled wrongly on you. If you don't understand that channel, you will believe in whatever junk people describe it, because you have not yourself discover your true self.
Mhm.
And to discover your true self, then you need to go to the source. And the
Yes.
source is the creator. To
Yes.
search.
Yes.
To search. As you commune with him, he gives you deeper revelation of you. And myself,
Very
I
good.
love this particular verse of the Bible. It's the way Apostle Paul put on Peter, First Peter 2, 9 and 10, which talks about our true identity. Because
Mhm.
I always say, if the foundation has not been dug, if you have not understood who you are, then you can't even navigate yourself.
Mhm.
You will just be receiving wrong impulses from the community, from your friends, from your spouses, from your parents, from whatever your the culture and all those things, which will define you, which is not the truth. And you believing in that, then you are failed. You'll be accepting wrong impulses in your mind. Whereas if you have really understood the foundation, the truth, then you are able to navigate with no stress, because myself, sometimes I say, I don't care what people define me. I know who I am.
That's good.
And I focus on who I am, because I know. I don't care whether people value it now. I always say I will flow, because when you flow in that domain that you were created, they will
Mhm.
search for you, because they will
Mhm.
see the truth in you, and
Yes.
they will come searching.
Yes.
So whatever, if I've understood my identity and I'm flowing in that, then I focus on that. No distraction, no wrong
Mhm.
thoughts,
Mhm.
nothing. Whatever the community, whatever people
Yeah.
say, that's their business.
Mhm.
It doesn't influence me,
Mm.
because I have discovered my own true self, and I focus. My mind is towards that goal and nothing else. Sorry, I just had to share this. So,
Okay.
Dr. Robert and Dr. Calypso, may I be quiet?
No, that's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
It's good. You're like you said, you tap into your experience, and it's beautiful that you give a real how you do it yourself. That is very important. Again, so we don't remain around theories and talking high level. So that's very
Yes.
important. And yeah, it is great. I think
Okay.
Dr. Robert was going to talk about how to refine the mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what are the practical steps that we can take? I am so passionate about this.
Hmm.
What are the practical steps we can take? It's unbelievable how simple those steps are. It's unbelievable how those steps doesn't depend on how intelligent I am.
Hmm.
It's unbelievable to know that those steps doesn't depend on how rich I am. It has nothing to do with that. If that were the case, then only intelligent people will be free.
Hmm.
If that were the case, only people that were rich will be free.
Hmm.
If that were the case, only poor people will be free. But The earth contains over 7 billion people, and we are still in existence. What
Mm-hmm.
that is telling me, there is a solution that encompasses all the 7 billion people. Any solution that is short of that is not a overall solution. It's only a solution that only addresses few people. And the fact that all of us are existing, all of us has access to the solution. So what we have talked about, this is really important. If I were in the viewer's scenario, I will take this video and go over it over and over and over
Yes.
as a number one step.
Yes.
Very, very important. See it this way. If you were told to take a 1 week class, and after that class, you're going to be paid 300 or $500,000. If we are told that after taking this class, I don't have to tell you everyone is going to take that class very, very seriously. They are going to be studying day and night. They want to know every word, every sentence, what it means. Short that when there is examination, they're going to get a good score because they know they're going to be having uh, $500,000 or whatever the pay is. And this is the incentive of why we go to school. Is the incentive of why we get different careers. What do we do there? Do we just appear in class and the next day we have our degree? It doesn't happen. We spend time and effort and energy because we realize it is important.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to free your mind, you want to refine it. If you don't see what we are saying as important, the chances of refining it is very low,
Mm-hmm.
because what we are saying only give you a snapshot of what we are talking about. We can't expand because there is no time. It's just too short.
Mm-hmm.
So just going over it over and over, and let what strikes you in that sincerity, what really touches you, the direction that you begin to see. You begin to look for that signal because you are an individual. What we are talking about, we are just talking about general, but you are not general. You are a specific, unique human being that is born to succeed, that is
Mm-hmm.
born to flourish. So once we begin to take that seriously, if that will bring a complete change, a complete direction in my life, why will I not take it seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Why will I just want to listen and then go and then refine? How is that going to be possible? I don't treat my classes that way. How will I treat my own life that is so valuable and important that way? So the importance of what we are saying is one number one step. The next step, once you identify that truth, stick with that truth. Stick with it, it's going to guide you. These words that we are saying are so powerful. They will free your mind. No matter how dark it is, it doesn't matter. That light comes and it's going to destroy that darkness. No matter the number of years that darkness have in existence, it doesn't matter. No matter what others have said is impossible, it doesn't matter. No matter what you have been told, it doesn't matter. Nothing withstands that light. Nothing. It's only when the light is not aligned, then you can put a very thin barrier to it, it will block. But if not, that's the case, impossible. So I give the floor to Dr. Calypso.
Thank you very much. Amazing, amazing. Recognizing what it is and then emanating the light. Thank you for giving that introduction. I see the solution. I'm sure we're already running out of time because, like you rightly said, this is a very very broad topic, and we can't get into the details, the nitty gritty of it. But I see it from two dimensions. I see it from two ways of dealing with it. Um, uh, Scripture talks about casting down every imagination and every high thing that exalts his name against the knowledge of Christ. So there has to be a casting down. Why are, Dr. Robert talked about, if you are in this position, it is because you have thoughts that if the mind requires refining, it implies there are thoughts that are not consistent with the direction you want to go. And so those have to be torn down. So there are three ways I see it: tearing down the old. Number two, building up the new. Number three, guarding the new. There are 3 points: tearing down the old, taking out unwanted stuff, uh, 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 taking out the things that are not necessary. And like it has been said already, it is so simple that sometimes we miss it. At the platform where I talk at on my YouTube channel, I teach on the importance of having control around your environment. I said there are some of us that like I said, it's sometimes it's not even the intrinsic factors that are in there. Sometimes it's the environmental factors. You are stuck on a channel watching YouTube on things that do not feed you positively, that things that bring out the old nature in you that you don't want. It simply requires cutting off. These are practical steps that you can take. Again, we have to pull these things down. I'm talking about pulling it down. What are the things, the friends that you have in your life that are not adding to your life? It doesn't mean that every friend should be positive, should be energetic, but some friends, if there are people around you who are tearing you down, there has to be, again, action steps. There has to be a conscious decision to dissociate from these relationships. And some of us, it's just the Facebook we are stuck on. We get up in the morning and there's no opposition of meditation. Dr. Robert talked about seeing yourself positively. You are the light. He used the word the light. There's no, you have, when you wake up in the morning, there has to be a mindset that is ready to say, Father, I thank you for today. It is a good day. Today will be, I will be great. Today will be a great day. I will have a great day. There's a positivity that emanates from doing positive things. And that's the second step, bringing in the positive. Philippians 4 talks about whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are lovely. I think from verse 8, whatsoever thing is of a good report. If there be, think on these things. It says, think on these things. How do we refine our thoughts? When we take out the old, because remember, you cannot put new wine in old wine skin. You have to take out the old and then put the new wine. And what's the new wine? The beautiful things around your life. Um, Feed yourself good stuff, stuff that will take you to the destination you want to go to. Um, uh, 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 Somebody said, if you run a race, if you're running a race without a direction, then the race is of no use. You need to have a sense of purpose. Dr. Robert talked about sense of purpose. Coach Marie also talked about it. Having a purpose that guides your heart. If you're running a race without direction, without the intention of I want to run to this destination, then speed is of no use because you'll be running for no reason. So there has to be purpose that guides the direction your life is going. And the last point, I talked about 3 points. Remember, we are just throwing them out. So, as Dr. Robert said, come and watch this over and over. But I'll just give these three. Number one, tear down what is not necessary, the negative things in your life. Number two, feed in the positive. Think on things that are positive, have relationships that are positive. Um, Take a step towards that, even if it's difficult, as Dr. Robert said. Sometimes some people intrinsically it's very difficult. Take a direction, do something. You have to do something you've never had. If you want, you have to do something you've never done. If you want to have something you've never had, do something beyond the norm of your life. Then number three, um, going back to what Coach Marie said, Guide your heart with all diligence. What is the word guard? The word guard simply means protect your heart. Build a fence around the treasure of your thoughts. Build a fence around your thought pattern and say, this is how I've chosen to think, and I don't want to be derailed. I don't want to go astray. I don't want to go back to the old me. And that entails a lot of things. Again, we're just giving high level. These are simple steps, as Dr. Roberts said simple things that can be done to set you in the right direction. Give your heart a direction. To me, practical things I do is I predetermine the kind of music I listen to. So because of that, I don't have cable in my house. We've not had cable for years because I want to determine what I take into my life. I don't want the news channels to determine what comes into me. you know uh, I determine the songs I listen to because the songs transcend to define my mood will determine the kind of thoughts that I'm accommodating. So all these things, again, these are high level. We It's hard to go to the nitty gritty, but I would encourage you, like Dr. Roberts said, listen to this over and over. And I am a consultant. I talk to groups of people. um, Not yet started coaching, but these are coaches. If you know that you need help, contact a coach. Talk to somebody who's a professional in the domain that you want to acquire knowledge in. I think that's what I have to share on what can be done.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Khalibs. Thank you, Dr. Robert. I totally agree, especially with all the points enumerated. And I I happened to fall on someone's post under Tony Robbins, and the person was really like lamenting, like the person just said he wanted love from people because he feels so down. He feels that kind of darkness, that kind of deep state
Mm,
of depression and the rest. And I really wish people, because it doesn't just glue like that, but
mhm.
it's a gradual process.
Yes.
And sometimes when topics like this, they are given free of charge, people don't even take it. They don't consider it worthwhile. And in the shortest space of time, find ourselves in situations we can't manage.
Mhm,
Whereas if we would have even paid attention, made a move, take an action, it will solve a lot of problems in our community today.
mhm,
The problem is we ourselves not willing to do it.
mhm,
Because if you want a change, you need to change something in your life. That is what I always say.
mhm,
If you want a change, the God is there to supply and do everything, but He wants us to take action.
mhm,
Not like He has not answered us, but He wants to see our movement, our actions. Then He will now open the way for us. If we don't begin somewhere, we can't really go anywhere. We ourselves need to make a step.
mhm,
And as we make a step, He opens and connects us to those
mhm,
areas which will help empower and build us back. That was just a little I wanted to add.
mhm.
Thank you so,
And
so much. I don't
and
know whether
yeah,
Dr.
sorry, I was just going to throw in something that came to mind that again Dr. Robert mentioned, the iceberg principle, and
Mm,
how the thoughts that we think are just a little bit. It's like an iceberg. The mind is like an iceberg,
mm,
where the typical iceberg, what you see on top of water, is just not even up to 5% of what is below water usually. And if you think of the mind like that, there's the upper side, what is on top of water are the conscious thoughts that we have, and the
mm,
subconscious is what is beneath, and that controls a lot our thought pattern. So it takes going in. And how do you build a subconscious? By repetitive action. I just want to throw that in, highlighting again the need for people to, Coach Marie already talked about it, for people to come to the video, to listen to such talks, and to so that in attempt to, as you do that, you will change the subconscious that drives our thought patterns.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Khalif. I don't know if Dr. Robert has still something to add.
Well, just to buttress really all of the beautiful contribution, and so, these are high level, but the commonality of what we are saying, repetition is very
Mhm,
important. I remember myself taking that scripture, book of Philippians chapter 4. I wrote it down, was looking at that every day, every day, every day,
mhm,
and then use that to refine and question myself. Am
mhm,
I taught good? Am I taught aligning to who I am? Checking on myself every time. With time, it becomes part of you.
mhm,
That need for repetition is so important. Without it, again, I just indicated, we can't just go to class and take physics, chemistry, biology, literature. We just can appear there and then we understand everything.
mhm,
It doesn't happen. So
Mm-hmm.
why do we think that's going to happen for our lives? It's impossible. For something that is of value requires recognition
mhm,
that you need to put the same similar effort.
mhm,
Athletes, they train, practice, but sometimes that's what is can be misleading.
mhm,
That, oh, it's faith, just believe and then no. There is some aspect of that is very practical, very practical. Without recognizing that, then there's not going to be the avenue for change,
mhm,
because on our own, again, we know relatively little,
mhm,
no matter
Mm-hmm.
how we may think we know a lot, but no, it's relatively little. So if, let's say, as Dr. Caleb said, just 5% of the iceberg that is on top, okay, or that's what we're seeing, or that's what we're using to gather information. How can you use 5% of knowledge to know what is the 95% of the unknown? How is
mhm,
that possible?
mhm,
How is that possible? Isn't just so what I am getting at, that we are an individual.
Yes.
Going back to that individuality is so vital.
mhm,
I can give you a background of my story, but it's not enough to meet your own needs.
mhm,
It's not enough at all, because you are a unique individual who was brought into this world to succeed. And so we will not take much of your time.
mhm,
We are here to help you. And could Marie mention something? Sometimes when it's given freely, people may not understand the value. They
mhm,
may not realize, even to get me on this podcast,
Yeah.
I didn't ask for anything, but it doesn't mean it is valueless.
yeah,
Someone else will really find it very difficult to get me on the show.
mhm, yeah,
But I just think that this will benefit so many people,
mhm,
and it's going to free so many people. It's going to free so many minds. If you're having difficulties or challenges in which to even identify where to start from, don't be shy to ask for help. And
mhm,
that's why I'm also looking at it that scientifically it's really hard. It's not easy to just say, oh, I'm going to just free myself away free. If that's the case, everyone in the world will have been freed.
mhm,
That's true.
But let's go with the steps that Dr. Khalif have laid out, and we go over those over and over and over, and the things that we've talked about. If you need help, we are here to help as much as we are able to. So thank you for really organizing this, and for making me be part of this discussion. It's been wonderful.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Robert. Thank you so much, Dr. Khalif. It's been an awesome show. Myself, I've been taking notes. If you notice, I was writing because we learn every day.
Mhm.
No one is full of knowledge. Just like you said, what we know is just like 5%. But anybody that aspires and wants to become something, you need to learn every day. You really need to learn every day. That's why people really need to change. You change many things, and thank you so much. I've learned a lot personally. And I don't know whether there is any question here. I've not realized any question
Mhm.
on the chat box, but anyone that watched it or doing a replay and some clarity you need, you can contact me, can contact Dr. Robert, can contact Dr. Khalid. If you need to reach out, if you can't access them, you can still reach out to me. I will try to connect you to them for more clarity, and I will try to show. So I'll put the link of their books so that you can be empowered. Knowledge is wealth. Most of us are failing because we are not ready to learn. But anyone desiring to learn will surely succeed. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the sacrifice. It's a learning platform for empowerment. Just as you said, it's not easy to reach out to you guys, your consultants, but you decided just to share, to bless a soul. And I pray that people don't take it for granted, but empowered. So if you're watching, you can share it and empower someone. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Robert. Once more, thank you, Dr. Khalifs.
Thank
I
you.
know it's Saturday. I don't want to take much of your time. We have been here for an hour. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for
Thank you very much.
always accepting to join us in this program, Healing Storehouse, the empowerment program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
I don't know if you have any special thing to the audience. If not, then we can call
Uh,
it a day.
Maybe before I give it to Big Brother, yeah, I'll go back to the point you made that people have to go back to the Creator. Above all things, go back to the Creator.
Mm,
And the analogy I have for that is that if you buy a TV set and you find difficulty in operating it, say it's a Sharp or Samsung TV set, you find it difficult to operate it. The first thing you do is to pick up the manual. And if you read the manual, an, an analogy is the Bible or the book of God as we see it, Christians. If you pick the manual and you can't understand it, you're finding difficulty, you
mm,
pick up a phone and call Samsung and say, hey, I need help.
yeah.
And this is all an analogy that connects. Ultimately, we have to go back to the Creator. The Creator is the one who understands us best. And I would encourage you, as it's been said, Coach Mary mentioned it already, go back to the Creator. The Creator has your blueprint. The Creator knows what you were made for. He
Mm,
has the best of you. And if you go back to Him, you won't regret it. Go back to God.
wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Khalifs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if in closing, just to follow up with that, because that was really, really very powerful analogy. Um, that was where we really started with this definition when we were born. You know, who made us? Who created us?
Mm,
Were we born to fail? Why? Given how complex we are, just look, think about it.
mm,
How complex we are as a human being. Very, very complex. Even the immunity that our body uses to fight diseases is a very, very complex process. Look at the whole world brought down on their knees because we can't figure it out initially. Look at
mhm,
how we're continuously struggling.
mhm.
Just very small, one little virus, and just put us to shame. Okay. So
That's
just put us to shame. So what that tells me,
mm,
I need to go back to where I came from.
Mhm.
absolutely.
If one has taken so much time and energy to put on something that is very complex,
Mm,
time, energy, you build something, you work very hard, you tirelessly, you build this very nice structure. Okay, you put it on. Who on earth will not want that structure to prosper or succeed.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense at all.
That's true.
There will have been no need for you to be existing if that desire has not been made there for you.
That's true. Wow.
It is there. And what you are seeing happening in the world is reminding us to go back.
Absolutely.
No amount of money, no amount of technology,
Mm.
no amount of weapon we have was able to succumb to what we are faced with and are still dealing with. Is a reminder, we as an individual, to go back.
Wow. What an awesome way to end this program. I love the way it ended, and that's just the solution
Mm-hmm.
to refining our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
The solution is going back to the source.
Mm-hmm.
Because the source, it has our manual, it has everything.
Mm-hmm.
If we have not gotten to that point, then we are just wasting our time.
Mm-hmm.
We are just wasting our time. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. I'm really excited in my spirit. I've been blessed, and I know someone out there will be blessed. Those who have not watched, they will still go for the replay and trust in God will connect those who need it, and they will be empowered. Thank you. God bless you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. I still encourage I still encourage you all. For those who have not yet ordered Healing Storehouse, Unlocking Soul Gates, we have on chapter 6, refining your thoughts, and it started with Proverbs 4:23. So you can grab your copy and be empowered. In addition to what Dr. Khalif's and Dr. Robert just analyzed, I've been blessed. I've been blessed. Share and empower someone. God bless you. See you next week by God's grace. Bye.